Hello, my name is Shelby, and I posted a couple of videos on Facebook here about how I was able to have my beadwork for my lighter case that can easily slip off and mix epoxy in with it too. Now, in the first video, it shows that I can't get this off because what I did was I slipped the piece that I made onto this, but I only made it up to about right here. And then I beadworked around it to make it tighter so that my lighter won't fall like the last one. Unfortunately, I can't find it at the moment, so just gonna have to deal with that one. All right, now I'm also gonna show you how I do my epoxy stuff. Now, this is my second theory on the whole thing. What I did was go ahead and bead around the whole lighter, and then now I'm going to place the whole thing on here, hoping that I will still get the same reaction, but just not to where I have to take something and poke it out, if it will come out this time. Like, see how much force that is? I mean, like, don't get me wrong, it's nice because you ain't gonna lose your lighter, but you still want easy access to get it on and off over and over, and it's still a struggle to get it on and off. So the items that I have are these, my little utensils here. Oh, sorry, I'm moving around a lot. All right, this one's my poke and stir. This one is my scraper. I scrape this on the edges whenever I go to take off some of the excess epoxy. And here's a little spoon. I mean, it comes in handy whenever you kind of want to dip a little bit more in around the edges where you missed. I'm also going to use, if I have any extra resin left, for rings. That way, waste not, what not. My kids love them, so I mean, after everything's said and done, though, you do have to sand down the edges because I don't know if you can see, but it's still a little jagged, and you probably heard that pop off. All right, so let's get started. You saw me take this off. This is gourd stitch, by the way. It has this, what's it called? The finger trap effect to it. Oh, messed it up a little bit. All right, so first things first, I'm going to mix my resin. I'm using today the Epoxy Cast Clear Casting Epoxy, and so far this one has come out clear. This is the one that I used on this, and so far it hasn't failed me. I do have a couple others, and I've even bought this, but I think I'm going to try this on the ring mold first before I try it on any of my other beadwork, because I don't know what to expect from this. Alright. Also, one of the things that you want to do is make sure that your thing is clean. Oh, see, there's a hair on there from one of the dogs. But make sure the inside of it is clean. Honestly, I don't care about the outside. Like, the outside can be as dirty as it wants. This is what it looks like whenever it is not inverted or exverted. But see, you will be putting your resin on the inside of this. So I'm going to place this down. Also, I'm using a little grid mat thingy for cutting. Like, I'm just using the back of it so that I don't mess up any part of the front. I don't care what happens to the back. Make sure you are also on a level surface so that all of your epoxy resin and everything is leveled out right. Otherwise, if you do too much of the resin compared to the hardener, then it will not set right. And also, I know that if you pull it out of the cast within 24 hours, it's still going to have that flimsy, flexy feel, and it's kind of rubbery. And then another 24 hours later, it you know, starts hardening a little bit more. Like right now, I can scratch at it and it doesn't feel any, how should I put this? It just feels smoother, basically. Now at the bottom, this is where I was kind of testing it out to see how sticky it was. Alright, so now I'm going to get started on the resin. Alright, this is your hardener, and this is your epoxy. Now, they say to put them in 2 different cups, then stir it, and then, you know, wait for bubbles and all that, but I put them in the same thing. So far, it hasn't failed me yet. I'm using these little cups. They come in a package at Hobby Lobby. Come with little spoons too, but I like the little stir that I have. Also, you will want to get ready a mug, like a regular coffee mug that you normally don't use, because we're going to use hot water, and that will help get some of the bubbles out of it. Also, make sure, don't do what I did and just hop right in thinking everything's fine and dandy, because 90% of my package were broken. And, well, I was not a happy camper. I thought that I melted it, but come to find out, most of them were broken. So, make sure that before you start pouring anything anywhere, that nothing's spilling out, there are no holes, no breakage, no nothing. Alright, so, actually, I'm going to do the epoxy first. And everyone's different, so let's see. I'm going to mark where I'm going to put it. Oh, marker doesn't want to work. Alright, I'm going to start off at the 2.5 with the epoxy, and then I'm going to do the 5 with the hardener. I hear my dogs. Sorry about that. I was trying to get the dogs put up because they were starting to bark. Alright, anyway, like I said, 2.5 and 5 is what I normally do on the mini lighter. And I do usually have enough. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try to do that again to see how much I'll have left, because epoxy goes a long way. And I've also brushed it onto some of my items that I've made before, but because I've used polyurethane, I couldn't tell if it was clear or if it was yellow from the epoxy or yellow from the polyurethane. Polyurethane is supposed to be used on wood, and it does not have a clear coat whatsoever that I could find. So if you find some, let me know, please. I like using it. Alright, going to do the first pour. And I just, you know, poked a couple holes in it. Alright. That way, you know, I'm not over pouring it or under pouring. Alright, and now we're going to go to the 5. I'm going to pour a little bit more because I think I overdid it on the epoxy. Now, if you can see, there's a little bit of bubbles going up in there. So, we will get rid of the bubbles, but first things first, we need to stir. Now, let me get the lid back on this. Alright. Now, I'm going to take my pokey one and start stirring. You're supposed to stir for about 2 to 3 minutes, and they say to also transfer the epoxy to another cup so that, you know, whatever happens, then, you know, it's not going to affect it any worse. But I didn't notice a difference, so I just kept the same cup. Waste not, wet not. So I'm going to stir here for about 2-3 minutes, and it is 12:18. So we're going to count it at 12:21. And you want to go from outside to inside. The faster you stir, the more bubbles you cause, which I have learned. And if you keep the stir on the bottom of it, it helps reduce it. And also, this is where our hot water is going to come into play. Because after we are done with our 2 or 3 minutes of stirring, then... Sorry about that. I had to pause so that my man will talk to me and then go back to his little hole. Go back and sleep. Alright. So, keep on stirring, stirring, stirring. I pretty much try as much as I can to stir more in the middle than anything. That's just my preference. I mean, it's kind of like mixing your baked goods. Like if you're making banana bread or something, you know, you try as much to start off in the middle and then work your way out. Or you can even tilt it and stir. Just try not to pull up with your stick, because otherwise, again, it'll cause more bubbles. But whenever I tilt it, it helps a little bit. And be warned, your fingers may cramp after a while. Alright, I'm going to do this another minute since I was interrupted. It's already 12:21, but like I said, interrupted. And sorry if my table is shaky, it's just one of those outside event tables. Alright. Oh, this hurts. Alright. Oh, there's some big bubbles. And see, you can also kind of pull them out. Especially if they're huge. Oh, and make sure you have paper towels. Sorry that I forgot to mention that. But paper towels are really good for your stirs that are reusable over and over, like this one. I'm going to set this down. Alright, and I'm going to wipe that off. Alright. Now, I've mentioned that you should get a coffee mug. Well, put the coffee mug in the microwave with some water for roughly 2 to 3 minutes. You want it real hot, but not too hot that it's going to melt your product. Now, I'm getting out this other cup because every time I've put it in another item, it would float and, you know, go all the way around everywhere, acting like it's going to spill. So I'm just going to get some out of my coffee cup that I made. Alright, and then I'm going to set that in there, and it's supposed to help with the bubbles. Now, while it's doing that, it's still got some bubbles, and again, so far I haven't really noticed a difference. But right now I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff on while I'm waiting. They say roughly about 12-15 minutes, the bubbles should start going away. But since it's in a small cup, it's probably going to get cold faster anyway. But that's fine. Alright, try to go. This is not the direction I wanted to go. But you see, I can just slip it right on because guess what? I already beat it around a lighter that might fit. This size of the mold is a J3. The one for this one was a J5. But again, in the last video, as you can see, without a little bit of squeezing in this part, it didn't want to set. It didn't want to stay put. So if I get mad and I start yelling with a lighter in my hand like this, it's just going to go gone. Alright. And again, this is gourd stitch. I find it way easier to get it on and off whatever I want. Alright, now I'm going to kind of poke it around like right below that edge. Alright, and now that I've put it down, I'm going to check. Make sure that they're kind of touching about right there. Right where that bottom is going to be. Because that's how I got it so low at the bottom. So that it looks like it's covering the whole lighter. Oh, some of those bubbles are gathering and starting to get away. Alright. So, this is the fun part. Now we're going to roll this back up this way. Now I'm going to squeeze down here at the bottom so that it doesn't move from its spot. And I can't guarantee that everything's going to turn out okay. Like as far as your colors and everything. Alright, come on, roll. It doesn't want to roll. And again, like I said, make sure the inside part is definitely clean. Okay, I'm just going to do it this way now that I got some of it up. Last time I believe I used a stick of some sort, one of those dowels, and was able to, you know what, here we go. That way I can hold on to it. Now see, some of my beads are starting to bunch up. Now this is a process, like, there's no cupcakes and rainbows. This is why I liked using polyurethane a lot more, because all I had to do was brush it on. Set it aside. Wait overnight. Put it in front of a fan, something. But I didn't like that it yellowed. That was a big no-no for me. Get on! Uh-oh. Don't tear. Please don't tear. Okay. Whew. That was a workout. Alright. So, you can see all the beads are still around the edge. And see, my first hypothesis on this whole thing was that, heck, if I can maybe fit the lighter into this hole right here, then maybe it'll fit better. And then I turned around and was like, oh no, because if I expand the inside of it, then it's going to be even wider. So don't do that, please. Don't do that. I've already thought of it, and yeah, that would not be okay. Oh, and I found a hair in there, or lint or something. Oh no, that is not a hair. That is actually part of my string. Give me one moment. Let me cut. Alright. Sorry about that. Alright, I need to... Alright, so I re-boiled my water because it started getting cold. But there are no more bubbles. Oh, let me get this back. Alright, so whenever you do pull this out of the water, you're going to want to wipe it off. And again, maybe make sure that it didn't cause any bubbles, or, I'm sorry, holes. But you see, it's all good. It's all gravy. Alright. Oh man, one of my beads came off. It'll be fine. It's about to be epoxied. Epoxied. Alright. So, now all we do is pour. I'm gonna pour that over there before I end up pouring it in here. Alright. And then I just go over the middle. Now, let it kind of seep through first. Because with that excess stuff inside the middle, it's going to want to overflow at the very beginning. Okay. And sometimes you can squeeze it so that it will go in a little bit faster. Oh, there's a bowl by mistake. Alright, I'm also going to take this and kind of go around the edges, and this is the pointy stir. I might actually keep it in there to kind of keep it open. Alright, and you'll also see that it's starting to get a little dark around where it is going through. So that's a good indicator on whether or not it's going in. And honestly, there's so much of it already in there that, you know, let's take that out real quick, see if it did anything. No. Alright. And it looks like I'm going to have to make up some more. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this off so that I can just go ahead and add some more to it here in a minute. Wipe it all out. Alright, I'm going to take that stir out. Now, you do have a little bit of time, so give me one moment and then I'm going to pause this, and then I'm going to go ahead and mix my mix and then continue pouring. Alright, while I'm waiting on the bubbles for this to go away, I'm also going to show you my very first lighter case that I made for myself that I did use the polyurethane on. And I even did a coat of it on with epoxy afterwards. But this is it. I did square stitch, and this is not my design, so I don't remember where I found it. But if you look closely, you'll see the yellowing right here. And some of that was from the polyurethane. So if it's a white project, I would suggest doing the epoxy or some other clear sealant. I've seen a lot of people say that they use the spray coat, the clear spray coat, and they use that as a sealant. Also, another thing, if you do just want to paint the epoxy onto the lighter case while the lighter is on, do the sealant first, because I messed up. My boyfriend's lighter, it already did have coatings on it, but the bottom half didn't, so I didn't think anything of it. I was still able to get it out. It was still hard to get out, but, you know, I was able to get it out. Well, once I did the epoxy and kind of painted it on, yeah, no, it didn't work out. But see, this, every day, I use it on a daily basis. But I did go ahead and do the clear coat of epoxy on this to give it a little bit more shine, because I've had this thing for 2 years. No metal piece to hold it down, like to go around the lighter. I mean, I've had this sucker for a while. I put this thing through hell and back. It's just a shame that it got all yellow and stuff right there. And I even had to sew on the bottom part before I ever did the polyurethane. But still a good lighter, still my favorite. Heck, who knows, maybe I'll have a new favorite right here after this. Oh no, might give it to a friend, might sell it. And also, make sure that before you use the epoxy on anything, especially if you're going to sell or give it to somebody else, that they're not allergic to the epoxy at all. I know I'm saying the word so many times, but I found out that someone through a post had said, you know, make sure that they're not allergic, because they used to play with epoxy a lot too. But eventually it had gotten to the point that she became allergic to it. And, you know, I understand that more than anyone because, you know, I've had the same issue. One day I'm okay with something, and then next thing I know, I'm allergic to it. But, yeah. So please make sure that they are not allergic to the stuff. Apparently there is some sort of epoxy resin that is okay for skin, that is good for all skin types. I'm not sure. I'm gonna get my paper towel. But, you know, go off of your bases. Always watch YouTube videos. I cannot stress that enough. I've watched about 20 of these before I even started doing this because I wanted to know what to expect. Was I going to expect a great outcome, or has someone else already done this? Come to find out, no one else has done this before that I know of, that they've posted or videoed or whatever. I just, oh no, Aunt. Alright. But anyway, yeah, it's just, it's stressful whenever you're trying to look up something that you're trying to be creative with and you can't find it nowhere. And that is why I'm trying to do this for y'all. Alright, it's getting close and I do have a lot of it left. Alright, there's still some bubbles in there. And see, you just gotta definitely make sure you are trying to get all the bubbles out, because not this one, but my very first one that I attempted it in to see if it was clear or, you know, anything that I had questions about, my first experiment, it had some of the bubbles in it, and you can tell. It honestly needs to be filled in, because apparently if there are bubbles after you pour it and it hardens and everything, it makes it less durable throughout time. And that is not what I'm about. I'm trying to make something that will last forever. What got me to do this is the fact that my grandmother used to do beadwork all the time. She never was able to teach me how, but I was pretty distraught whenever, you know, she could never teach me. It's just one of those things. Like, being a kid, you see your grandmother have all these earrings, these keychains, everything. You wanted to be just like her, doing all that kind of craft. But, you know, she ended up having carpal tunnel and rheumatoid arthritis, so she couldn't teach me. So, again, I learned on YouTube videos. And it's not bad how in today's age and everything, but, you know. Alright, now this is where that cup of hot water will come into play. So, you've already witnessed, if you could see anyway, that the bubbles disappeared while it was in hot water, right? Well, if you're worried about there still being bubbles inside it, like on the inside where you can't see at all, then this is where I actually keep the case on the inside of my hot cup. Now, I put it in for about 3 minutes. Make sure it's like really hot so that while it's sitting and waiting, it somewhat cools down. It looks like there's some things that are trying to bubble still. But again, you know, this is why I have the hot water. This is what I did with these. What I did was put a little bit of hot water in there, because I don't know how much I really need until after I put it in. And now I'm just going to kind of move it along because heat rises, right? So we're going to kind of try to get some of those bubbles that's at the bottom out if we can. And I may even just go ahead and add more hot water so that it fills up to just underneath right here, which I think I will go ahead and do that. All right. Okay, so I got the hot water going, and I put it in for about 2.5 minutes, and it was pretty boiling, but hopefully, like I said, it'll redo the same thing that it did in the cup, because that's what I did with these ones, and it worked out fine. Now, those of you that have a question about the whole painting it on, well, I have this paintbrush right here, and it's got plastic bristles. Now, you may need to trim it or something right here, because I don't know if they are coming out or what. But, yeah, I can't get it out. Anyway, so, like I said before, use a sealant. You can use maybe Mod Podge, but I find that Mod Podge, like, leaves a weird residue to it. I mean, sure, it's not going to affect it too much if there's going to be epoxy on top of it, but at the same time, it just bugs me. I can't do it. Okay, I just can't. Alright, I'm going to easily try to set this aside and hope that it don't fall over. There we go. Safe zone. Now, what I do, here, let's get my other lighter, the one I did paint it on. Whenever I did do the polyurethane or any other clear sealant, you're going to want to do very thin layers. Like, here's some of that epoxy left. I'm going to set that aside just a moment. Okay, so, you dip it in. Now, if you have a big old glob right here because you dipped in too much, what I do is just all the way around, and then I do the same thing underneath, go all the way around, and I keep it on the lighter. Again, it's better if you use a sealant before you do anything else, because every time I did the thin layers, it would start drying, but it was drying on the lighter itself, and I couldn't get it off the lighter a couple of times. I mean, I'd had to work at it over and over, keep messing with it, and then kept taking it off, put it back on, and whenever it was starting to harden just a little bit, I would take the stick after it kept its own shape, then I would take it off, and then I'd stick it on a stick, like that, in front of a fan. See? And then it would dry it quick, but not in heat or not, it would dry it a little bit faster. But with epoxy, I don't know. This is really only like the third or fourth time that I've messed with this. And I mean, so far it's fun. I'm just not a patient person either. But I'm going to go ahead and you might be able to see that I've already used it a few times. It's got some glitter on it. I tried washing it off. Another thing is that, what is it called? Not the polyurethane. Acetone. Acetone helps get the stuff off of any of your surfaces, although you need to be careful because acetone can and will melt, plastic stuff. So I honestly think that maybe if you got the nail version of the acetone, you might be able to put some on a Q-tip or something and kind of rub it in around the areas where it's still there. But again, I'm making these little rings for my kids. I don't care about it, so I'm not too worried. So we're just gonna try to pour as much as I can inside the ring one. Oh, see, this is where the scraper comes into play. And it helps get around the edges too. see right now it's kind of not even. There we go. It's not flat. But see, it's not being wasted. I'm still using it. It's just going to be a plain old clear one though. And there's still a little bit left. I'm going to wipe that off real quick. And I think I have enough for the smallest one. Oh, crap. Not again. There it is. Alright, try to get it in the edges. See, I'm terrible at this. Like I said, I've only done it a few times and I'm still terrible. But you learn your own tips and tricks later on. Maybe try to squeeze a little bit more in there, if possible. Originally, I never wanted to use epoxy because I've seen so many people use so much of it and it gets wasted. I never seen them use it with anything else if they had too much. Alright, now I'm going to try to scrape off the top and back over this way. Because I did notice that one of the rings that I had, it's, well, it had a bubble in it. So I don't know if you can see that part. Here, maybe. But you may see that little chipping right there. And that was because there was a lot of air in it. And it didn't cure all the way without the air in it. And I also got this mold from Hobby Lobby as well. Expensive, but it was in hand and I didn't want to wait God knows how long through the mail. Now the lighter case molds, where did the other one go? Now I got these in a 4-pack. It was 2 of J3 and then 2 of J5. Now if you're wanting it for the regular Bic lighters, I mean completely regular Bic lighters, it claims that J6 is what you want. Now I found these lighters that look like they would fit that. I just went ahead and bought a whole bunch because there was no Bic lighters that was like this. So here is my regular Bic lighter, and here is this lighter. And since I did bead around this lighter and then I put it on, my hypothesis is that, and that, you know, instead of it being to where I can't absolutely pull it off whenever I want, that I can after doing that. And the type of lighter that one is called Steady Life. So, or I'm sorry, Steady Light, not Life, Steady Light. I found this 3-pack at Dollar General. I think it was like $2 or $3, something like that. I don't know, like I said, I just bought a whole bunch of them and figured might as well try it all out. But I'm going to wait 3 days at the very least before I take it off the mold. I'm going to continue with the hot water because in a sense I think that helps it a lot more. Although I'm not going to add hot water throughout each day, like, you know, every hour or so. No, I'm only going to do it once a day. That way it helps with the curing. It helps with, you know, keeping some of those bubbles out. Like some of the bubbles are already almost gone. But with this, since I already got some in there, I just stick it on top. Conceals the heat and it helps heat up around the circles too. But that is the end of my video. I hope y'all enjoy. Hope it was informative in any way, shape, or form. And please be kind, because I'm not very good at doing videos. And y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you. See you in 3 days.